Hello, I'm Martin Day from the Boar News. You're watching SU Elections coverage of the 2025 spring elections. I'm here with Sophie Bourne, a candidate for Vice President Postgraduates of SU. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So I suppose starting off, what are your key manifesto pledges, if you could summarize them into, I suppose, 3 or 4 points?
Yeah, so the main things that I'm campaigning on is to improve the student experience and community for postgraduate students, a more transparent SU, a liberated and decolonized student union that has sustainability at the heart of everything it does, and also just generally an improved ethos around accessibility and inclusiveness.
That's good. That's good. Um, I suppose as a first subject, many postgraduate students, perhaps there's quite a common experience. They feel often quite disconnected from the SU and also the university's perhaps more social aspects as a whole, societies and sports clubs, especially when interacting with undergraduate students who they often perhaps might not have a lot in common with. How do you want to make the SU more inclusive to postgraduate students?
Yeah, so I think a big thing for me is just working with the VP sports and societies to make sure that societies are aware of different needs that postgraduate students might have. And also just making it really clear to students at things like Societies Fair that, um, it is open for postgraduates. Something that I found when I went to things is, you start chatting to people at society stands and they perhaps look at you a bit weird, like, you can clearly see I'm a bit older than an 18-year-old, and just making sure that societies are aware that postgraduates want to get involved, and also just having more awareness of in the departments, so that as a postgraduate, your lecturers and stuff are still encouraging you to join student union stuff. I'm in a very small department, so my experience is perhaps not typical, but they're really good at sending us opportunities and things. And I think it would be really good if every department would kind of get on board with promoting the SU a bit more. I think that would go a long way for getting students involved.
Definitely. And how about, for example, postgraduate students coming to Warwick from different countries and like universities internationally? How would you perhaps want to reach out to them in particular?
Yeah, so I think a big part of it is having a really good orientation or induction when you start here. So I think coming as an external student who didn't study at Warwick for their undergrad, it's quite a lot of new stuff to take in when you're starting at a new uni. So I think for me, it's all about making sure um, that the induction's really good. It's really clear, what the student union is, what it does, what it can provide you, why you should get involved, and just making that really clear, really accessible to students from day one of their course, so that they're able to kind of join in um, as and when they feel like they want to throughout the year.
That's great. Other new, you may have touched on it a bit already, but what perhaps new services or spaces or even provisions would you want to introduce to support postgraduates studying at Warwick?
So this year, the PG Hub has been an absolutely great resource for postgrads. Everyone I know has really enjoyed having that space that's separate and just for postgrads. So I definitely would want to work with the library to make sure that's a space that's sort of continued in the future, um, and also to work with other aspects of the university to just make sure that um, there are specific spaces and services that are designed for postgrads, because the needs can be different, but also just that transition support as well as you go from an undergrad into the masters, especially if you're on an integrated course. That support, so that you know who your go-to person is for everything that you're looking
Sounds good. Now, the postgraduate community at Warwick, obviously it comprises both master students and PhD students, doctorate students, and they'll often have perhaps different needs dependent upon, what stage of their course and what level they're studying at. How would you want to ensure that you're advocating for the interests of both of these groups?
Yeah, so one of the things I'm really keen to work on is to recruit more postgraduate research students as faculty reps. So I was a PGT faculty rep this year, and I think it's been really rewarding for me, like as a student, but also I can tell that it's really well received by the university to have postgraduate students in those spaces. So yeah, just like reaching out to the doctoral college and going to chat to people in person, I think is the best way of engaging with research students, particularly students at like Gibbet Hill, where they are a little bit disconnected from main campus sometimes. I would be really keen to work with like societies like MedSoc and people in life sciences to just get a bit more of that their input into things, because I do think there is a risk that everything becomes very central campus focused. And yeah, I think PhD students have some really interesting points to bring, and obviously their needs are quite different from even PGT. So, the couple of PGR reps that we've had this year, it's been really valuable to have their input on stuff. So yeah, I think just reaching out through kind of departmental networks as well as societies to try and figure out what it is the PGR students want, because I'm obviously not a research student. I don't necessarily know what it's like to be a PhD student, but I'm really keen to hear from them and work with them and for them.
Now, for a lot of postgraduate students as well, a large part of their university experience involves teaching undergraduate students, leading seminars and other responsibilities like that. How would you want to represent that specific aspect of the lives of postgraduate students at Warwick, and how might you want to improve that experience for postgrad students?
Yeah, so I think student staff like networks and student staff solidarity in particular is really important. When it comes to graduate teaching assistants, it's a really weird position because you're a student but you're also a staff member at the same time. So yeah, again, it's just about reaching out, making a connection with those students and listening to them. I don't want to sit here and tell people how they should feel about things or tell people how they should respond and what they should do. I want to hear from them, from the students, and work for them. So if they, if a bunch of GTAs turn up on day one and say, we need your help to campaign for a better contract or better pay, then I'm really keen to work with what they bring. I think it's pointless having a conversation about, graduate teaching assistants without any teaching assistants at the table. So yeah, I'd be really keen, again, through departmental networks, through kind of existing contacts that the student union has with those type of students, to hear their experience and hear what it is they need from us, whether that's, they just need somewhere where they can come and rant about stuff and, that kind of thing, or if they want support to run a more physical campaign against certain changes the university are making. I think it's about being responsive to what they want. But yeah, obviously, I think everyone should be paid fairly for the work they do, and I think being a graduate teaching assistant should be valued for the job that it is, because it is hard, and I think perhaps they've been neglected a little bit in the past, so I'd be really keen to kind of improve that relationship with them and make sure that the Students' Union is representative for everyone, including people that are in that kind of dual student and staff position.
And finally, the position of postgrad VP this year is actually very unusually contested. Last year, no one ran for it, and this year there are, I believe, 14 candidates running. What sets you apart from all of the other people running for this position?
Yeah, I think I've got a lot of experience working like as a student rep. In the university where I did my undergraduate degree, I was a part-time officer, so I have quite a good understanding of like student union structures and the kind of broader sector restrictions. And because of being like a faculty rep this year, and some other student rep stuff I've done, I've got really good working relationships with lots of key staff members. So I feel like from day one, I can use that to my advantage and really use those connections to be heard in the right places, to get student reps into meetings that perhaps don't have student reps in at the moment. I also think that I am like quite a confident person. I'm not afraid to stand up for what I think is right, and I'm also not scared of the university. If I think the university is doing something wrong and students aren't happy with something, I'm not afraid to stand up and say the university is wrong. And I think that's sometimes been lost a little bit, but I think ultimately a good full-time officer team should work for the students, and if that means sometimes you have to annoy the university or go against them in some way, then so be it. If that's what the students want and the students believe, that's what you should do. And yeah, I'm very confident. I'll chat to literally anyone, so I'm always going to be open to hearing people's opinions, hearing people's ideas. And I'm just really keen to get stuck in from day one, work collaboratively with the other officers and the students as a whole, and just work to make something as a team and make something unique of the role. I don't think it should be, obviously the main remit is postgraduate students, but I'm very outspoken. I believe quite strongly in improving access for other students, like widening participation as well. So I'm not going to just hide behind, I can only talk about postgrads. Like, if something's wrong with the uni, I'm going to stand up and say it, because at the end of the day, I'm elected by the students and I want to represent them and what they believe in.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for giving us your time today and agreeing to do this interview. That was Sophie Bourne, candidate for Vice President Postgraduates at the SU Spring Officer elections.